Here is something that your doctor has almost certainly never said to you clearly enough. After the age of 60, you are losing muscle, not slowly, not imperceptibly, but at a rate that, if left unaddressed, will quietly and systematically take away your ability to climb stairs, rise from a chair, carry groceries, and ultimately live independently. The condition has a name. It is called sarcopenia, and it is the most underdiagnosed, most underdiscussed, and most preventable contributor to age-related decline in the world today. The reason most people have not heard of it is not because it is rare. It affects an estimated 10% of adults over 60, 30% of adults over 70, and as many as 50% of adults over 80. The reason you have not heard enough about it is because its early symptoms are easy to dismiss. A little more fatigue than usual, a little more difficulty with stairs, a slight hesitation before getting up from a low chair. These things get written off as aging. They are not just aging. They are warning signs of a specific, measurable biological process that, and this is the critical message of this video, can be substantially slowed and in many cases partially reversed without ever setting foot in a gym or lifting a single heavy weight. I am going to show you exactly how. By the end of this video, you will understand what sarcopenia is at the cellular level, why conventional wisdom about exercise is failing most seniors, and the 4 specific evidence-based strategies that the world's leading longevity researchers are currently recommending to stop muscle loss in its tracks. Strategies that are gentle enough for anyone, regardless of current fitness level. Strategies you can begin implementing as early as tomorrow morning. This is one of the most important things I will ever share on this channel. Please stay with me. Chapter 1. What is sarcopenia and why should you be alarmed? Let us start with the biology. Because once you understand what is actually happening inside your body, you will understand why the standard advice, eat less, walk more, is not only insufficient but can actually accelerate the problem. Your muscles are made up of 2 primary types of fibers. Type 1 fibers, often called slow-twitch fibers, are responsible for endurance activities, sustained, lower-intensity movements like walking, standing, and maintaining posture. Type 2 fibers, called fast-twitch fibers, are responsible for power and speed, the explosive movements required to catch yourself if you stumble, to lift something heavy, to climb stairs quickly, or to recover from a loss of balance before it becomes a fall. As you age, both fiber types experience some degree of decline, but the loss of type 2 fast-twitch fibers is dramatically more severe and begins significantly earlier than most people realize. Research from the University of Florida confirms that type 2 fiber loss begins as early as the mid-30s and accelerates substantially after 60. By the age of 70, many adults have lost between 30 and 40% of their fast-twitch muscle mass compared to their peak. This matters enormously for a specific reason. Type 2 fibers are your survival muscles. They are the muscles that operate in the fraction of a second when you trip over a curb. They are the muscles that determine whether a stumble becomes a fall, and whether a fall becomes a fracture. When these fibers are depleted, your reaction time slows, your ability to generate rapid stabilizing force diminishes, and your vulnerability to falls and their devastating consequences increases dramatically. And here is the part that most conversations about sarcopenia miss entirely. The standard advice given to seniors, take gentle walks, do light stretching, stay active, almost exclusively trains the type 1 slow-twitch fibers. The fast-twitch fibers that are most critical, most vulnerable, and most in need of targeted stimulus are almost never addressed by conventional senior wellness programs. This is not a minor oversight. It is the central reason why fall rates among active, apparently healthy seniors remain so stubbornly high. They are fit by the most commonly measured metrics, but they are losing the specific type of muscle that matters most. Chapter 2. The 4 hormonal drivers of muscle loss you were never told about. Before I give you the solutions, I need to address something that is rarely discussed in mainstream health content about aging: the hormonal environment that drives sarcopenia. Because no exercise program and no dietary change will be maximally effective if the underlying hormonal context is working against you. There are 4 key hormonal shifts that occur in most adults after 60, and that directly accelerate muscle loss. The first is the decline in growth hormone. Your pituitary gland produces growth hormone, which plays a critical role in muscle protein synthesis and tissue repair. Growth hormone secretion peaks in your 20s and declines by approximately 14% per decade after that. By 60, most adults produce substantially less growth hormone than they did at 40. The result is a slower and less efficient muscle repair process, which means that even when your muscles are stimulated correctly, the rebuild response is reduced. The second is the decline in testosterone. This applies to both men and women, though the mechanisms differ. In men, testosterone, which is the primary anabolic hormone responsible for maintaining muscle mass, declines at approximately 1 to 2% per year after the age of 30. By 60, many men have testosterone levels that are 30 to 50% below their peak. In women, the postmenopausal decline in estrogen has a direct impact on muscle protein turnover and recovery. Both hormones, in both sexes, play a critical protective role against sarcopenia that becomes harder to maintain with age. The third hormonal factor is rising cortisol. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone. In short bursts, it is essential and protective. But chronically elevated cortisol, which is increasingly common in older adults due to sleep disruption, social isolation, financial stress, and health anxiety, is directly catabolic. It breaks down muscle tissue, it inhibits muscle protein synthesis, and it creates a metabolic environment in which the body is more inclined to extract energy from muscle than from fat. The fourth factor is insulin resistance. We discussed this in a previous video in the context of breakfast foods, but it has a direct and profound impact on muscle as well. When your cells become less sensitive to insulin, glucose delivery to muscle tissue is impaired. The signaling pathways that tell your muscles to rebuild and grow become less responsive, and the net result is an accelerated muscle loss, even in people who are eating adequate protein. I am sharing this hormonal context not to overwhelm you, but to help you understand why the strategies I am about to describe go beyond simple exercise advice. They address the full biological picture. Chapter 3. The 4 strategies to stop muscle loss without heavy weights. Now let us get into the practical solutions. These 4 strategies, implemented together, represent the current consensus among longevity researchers and geriatric medicine specialists for the most effective non-pharmaceutical approach to slowing and reversing sarcopenia. Strategy number 1. Resistance training with body weight and light resistance. I want to address the fear that many seniors have about resistance exercise. When most people hear the words resistance training, they picture heavy barbells, crowded gyms, and the risk of injury. For the vast majority of seniors, especially those who are new to structured exercise, that image is both inaccurate and unnecessary. Effective resistance training for muscle preservation after 60 does not require heavy weights. It requires mechanical tension, the application of a force against which your muscle fibers must work. And that tension can be generated very effectively using your own body weight, resistance bands, or light dumbbells. The movements that matter most for seniors are the foundational, functional patterns: the squat movement, the hinge movement, the push movement, and the pull movement. These 4 patterns, performed with proper technique and with enough resistance to feel challenging, not painful, but genuinely effortful, stimulate the type 2 fast twitch fibers we discussed and send the biological signal that muscle tissue needs to be preserved and rebuilt. Specific examples for beginners: wall push-ups instead of floor push-ups, sit to stand from a chair instead of weighted squats, resistance band rows instead of lat pull-downs. These are not lesser alternatives to gym exercises. They are appropriately calibrated stimuli for a body at this stage of life, and the research supports their effectiveness. A 2024 meta-analysis published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society reviewed 49 randomized controlled trials on resistance training in adults over 65 and found that even low to moderate intensity resistance training performed 2 to 3 times per week for 12 weeks produced statistically significant improvements in muscle mass, functional strength, and balance compared to aerobic exercise alone. 2 to 3 sessions per week, 20 to 30 minutes per session. That is the minimum effective dose, and it is achievable for almost everyone. Strategy number 2, protein timing and quantity. We touched on this in our video on breakfast foods, but the topic is so critical to muscle preservation that it deserves a much deeper treatment here. The current dietary reference intake for protein, the official recommendation from most national health bodies, is 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. For a person weighing 70 kilograms, that is approximately 56 grams of protein per day. For a 60-year-old who is trying to preserve or rebuild muscle, this number is wildly insufficient. The most current research, driven by studies at McMaster University in Canada and Maastricht University in the Netherlands, now suggests that adults over 60 need between 1.2 and 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day, nearly double the official recommendation, to maintain muscle mass, particularly when combined with resistance exercise. But quantity is only half the story. Timing matters enormously, for a reason rooted in the biology of anabolic resistance that we discussed earlier. In young adults, a moderate protein dose of approximately 20 grams is sufficient to maximally stimulate muscle protein synthesis. In adults over 60, the anabolic threshold is significantly higher. Studies suggest that a minimum of 30 to 40 grams of high-quality protein per meal is required to produce a comparable synthetic response. This means that spreading your protein intake across 3 substantial protein-anchored meals is far more effective than eating small amounts of protein throughout the day. The best protein sources for seniors, ranked by their leucine content, bioavailability, and digestibility, are eggs, dairy products including Greek yogurt and cottage cheese, fish especially salmon and tuna, poultry, and if plant-based sources are preferred, a combination of legumes with a leucine-supplemented protein powder. And for those who perform their resistance training in the morning or early afternoon, consuming 30 to 40 grams of protein within 2 hours of your training session maximizes the anabolic window, the period of heightened muscle sensitivity to protein that occurs after a training stimulus. Strategy number 3, sleep optimization for muscle repair. This strategy is consistently underestimated and underappreciated, even among people who officially take their exercise and nutrition seriously. But the science is unambiguous. The majority of muscle protein synthesis, the actual biological process of rebuilding muscle, occurs during sleep, specifically during deep non-REM sleep phases and the early hours of the sleep cycle when growth hormone secretion is at its highest. A study published in Sleep Medicine Reviews in 2023 found that adults over 60 who reported consistently poor sleep quality, defined as less than 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep or frequent nighttime awakenings, showed muscle protein synthesis rates that were 20 to 30% lower than those of age-matched counterparts who slept well. 20 to 30% lower. That is the difference between making progress and standing still, regardless of how well you train or how much protein you eat. The practical implications are clear. Sleep is not a passive rest period. It is the most important recovery tool in your biological toolkit. And optimizing your sleep through consistent sleep and wake times, a cool and dark bedroom environment, limiting alcohol in the evening, which disrupts sleep architecture profoundly, and limiting screen exposure in the hour before bed, is as important to muscle preservation as any exercise or dietary intervention. Strategy number 4, reducing sedentary time. The fourth strategy is perhaps the simplest, and in some ways, the one with the most immediate impact. Research from the UK Biobank, one of the largest and most comprehensive longitudinal health studies ever conducted, found that sedentary behavior, specifically prolonged sitting, is independently associated with accelerated muscle loss, even in adults who meet the recommended weekly exercise targets. In other words, you can exercise 3 times a week and still lose muscle faster than necessary if you spend the rest of your time sitting. The mechanism is a phenomenon called muscle inactivity atrophy, the reduction in muscle protein synthesis that occurs when a muscle is not bearing load. When you sit for extended periods, the muscles of your lower body, particularly the quadriceps, hamstrings, and glutes, experience very little mechanical loading. The anabolic signaling pathways in these muscles become quieter, and over time, the cumulative effect of prolonged inactivity accelerates the loss of the very muscle tissue you are working to preserve. The solution is not to stand all day. It is to interrupt prolonged sitting with brief periods of standing or movement every 30 to 45 minutes. Research suggests that even 2 to 3 minutes of light movement, standing, walking to a different room, doing a few calf raises or chair squats, is sufficient to reactivate the anabolic signaling pathways and break the sedentary spiral. A simple habit: set a gentle reminder on your phone or watch every 40 minutes. When it goes off, stand up, do 10 slow chair squats, walk to the kitchen and back, or simply stand and shift your weight from foot to foot for 2 minutes. That is all. The cumulative benefit of this one habit, sustained over months and years, is measurable and significant. Conclusion: let me bring everything together. Sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass, strength, and function, is not inevitable. It is not simply something that happens because of getting older. It is a biological process driven by specific, identifiable, and addressable factors: declining hormonal signals, insufficient protein, inadequate sleep, and a sedentary lifestyle that fails to provide the mechanical stimulus your muscles need to maintain themselves. The 4 strategies I shared with you today: targeted resistance training using body weight and light resistance, protein-rich and strategically timed nutrition, sleep optimization as a primary recovery tool, and the reduction of prolonged sedentary time, address each of these factors directly. They are not complicated, they are not painful, and they do not require a gym membership, expensive equipment, or a level of fitness you do not currently have. They require consistency. They require the understanding that the effort you put in today is a direct investment in the independence, mobility, and quality of life you will have at 75 and 80. And they require the decision to treat your muscles not as an afterthought, but as the most important physical asset you own. Start with one strategy, just one. Tomorrow morning, add 10 grams of protein to your breakfast, or do 5 slow chair squats before you sit down at your desk, or set a 40-minute reminder on your phone to stand up and move. Small begins, consistent builds, and what is built over time is strength. If this video gave you something valuable, a new understanding, a new strategy, or simply a new motivation, please subscribe to this channel. Every week, I bring you science-backed longevity information translated into habits that real people can actually implement. Hit subscribe and leave a comment below. Which of the 4 strategies are you going to start with today? I read every single one. Thank you for watching. Stay strong, because strength is not just physical. It is the foundation of everything else.